What's good in the hood, YouTube? I'm Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you another video. Today's video is for episode 2 of Dino Charge. It just came out. I just watched it. Tell you this much right now, it was good. Yeah, again, this episode was really good. I think this episode was better than the first one. The first one was good. This one was really good, really interesting. A lot of things that I was not expecting at all happened. Really cool episode. I'm gonna give, as always, I'm gonna give you guys a general sense of what I'm gonna give you guys a pretty big overview of what happened and go through things. So, what the episode starts off with is introducing us to a character that we hadn't seen yet. Which character is that? Well, that's our Green Ranger, Riley. So apparently, Riley's the one that we're gonna start with. I believe I might have said Coda was the one that we're going to do. I forget. I think it was Riley I said for the second episode. So Riley's introduced. We get to see him. He apparently lives on a ranch. And you get to see this awesome clip where you see like this short clip where he's, practicing with a sword because Riley's supposed to be the Green Ranger. The Green Ranger's all about his sword play. So makes sense. What ends up happening is that he's supposed to do some work on the farm. And what happens is that he has this dog that ends up leaving and finding something and barking at something, and then Riley goes after it. When Riley finds it, he finds out that that's Fury. He doesn't know he doesn't know the name, obviously, but what we can know is that, yeah, it's Fury. From what we know, he has no knowledge as to what it is. What ends up happening is that obviously Fury's looking for the Energems. Fury and Riley get into a fight because Fury's ready to attack his dog. What ends up happening in the process is that there's this blade or something like that. It looks like a metal bar, like a crowbar or something like that. That's jammed inside of a piece of rock, and around that rock is the green Energem. When he grabs what happens is that when as they fight, eventually the green Energem is revealed, and Fury screams out, "The green Energem!" And that's when Riley goes in and tries to grab the bar because he's because he thinks that it might be good to use as a weapon. When he grabs it, it's suddenly the green Energem and the bar-like weapon turns into their sword-like weapon that they're going to use for the season. I really liked that transformation. I liked how it worked. I also liked how he just grabs it eventually. It's a short battle, but it's a cool battle, and it ends with Fury just losing. When he grabs the Energem, he ends up seeing dinosaurs, and he's like, I have to go to the dinosaur museum. Eventually he leaves the ranch. There's a short little goodbye. It's a little sweet. He ends up getting into a little bit of an accident with a bike that he ends up taking to go there. It's not like a regular bike. It's like a motorbike, and it ends up not working. Then traveling in, he ends up meeting up with Tyler and Shelby. They all go inside the same vehicle, and what happens is that there's this scene where something insane happens, where Shelby, Tyler, and Riley end up finding this couple. The wife is safe, but the husband has a car on top of him, and somehow, because of the Dino energy, don't ask. All three of them together managed to just lift up an entire car, throw it up high, and then it explodes. Okay, first of all, throwing it up high. I understand that. You may think to yourself, well, that sounds insane to begin with. Why would you even agree with that? It's because the Dino Energems. But the fact that it explodes, what the hell? Yes, it explodes. So that means that should be the reason. So that's how it should work. When it's shot up, that means it should explode. They didn't have guns. Where is this explosion coming from? I honestly did not understand that, but anyway, the person was safe. The wife of the husband ends up saying how'd you guys do that? Yeah, exactly. How did you do that? No, it was just insane. So eventually they go to the dinosaur museum because that's where they all want to go. One thing that I was finding interesting about that is the fact that they went to the dinosaur museum. It's But how would they know? Like, yes, they saw dinosaurs, but that doesn't necessarily imply that, oh yeah, I should go to the dinosaur museum. What makes the dinosaur museum so unique? Why do they know that that's where they should go? Or I don't want to question it, but at the same time, it's just like, where's this like, where's your connection that like explains why? I mean, I get it. At the same time, I'm like sort of like, it's not like you saw. It's not like they saw like a vision of Keeper saying go to the museum or something like that. Like, it's not like some sort of thing like that. If that happened, then I would understand it, even though that'd be still insane. But you know what? It's still kind of odd, a little bit. I mean, I understand it, but it's still a little odd. So anyway, they go to the museum. They end up finding this like dinosaur like thing that Tyler wants to take a picture in. As though it's like he's being chomped on. What ends up happening though is that when he sits inside of it, he ends up touching on like the tooth, or like on one of the teeth of the dinosaur, and he ends up falling down it, which ends up being like a slide, and it ends up inside the base. Like I was right. It was gonna be in the museum. I told you guys. I knew it was gonna be in the museum. I've been saying that for so long now. Has to be in the museum somewhere. I actually like the location they put it inside the dinosaur. Very smart. I actually like that. It gives it like that Batman-like feel, you know, like the bat lair, and then there's like the cave, and there's like the trapdoor that leads you down. It's cool. I actually like that. They each go down it. We end up getting to find out some interesting news, which really, this was the biggest news. This was the biggest surprise for me. We end up finding out that apparently they wanted to do something a little bit different from what they did in Kira. I'm not complaining. At the same time, I'm not against it at all. What they decided to do was, we end up seeing them go down there. They end up finding this wall that has 2 energems in it, and they end up putting theirs in there. And so there's 5 energems inside this like these like 5 different panels that like can hold the energems. And we end up seeing like below that these things that are known as the Dino Chargers. What ends up happening is they turn around and they end up meeting they end up at first meeting Keeper. So they find out who he was. They find a little bit about what he's about, and then we get to see Kendall, Coda, and Chase. Yes. So the difference here is that Kendall's supposed to be like a helper for a Keeper, and Coda and Chase have their Dino Chargers already. Now, did they have that in the Sentai? Yes. The difference being is that instead of doing what they did in the Sentai, where they would make it out like, okay, this episode, only these few characters know who each other is. In this case, second episode, guess what? Everyone knows who everyone is already. I actually like that. It's a lot quicker, but at the same time, it like gave you a lot of suspense, and it really was surprising. And they gave it that feel of surprise. So the thing was, is that you saw them, like you saw Coda and Chase, and you saw them, and it looked like these like minor. They felt like very much like they were gonna become something, but like they needed to have some major introduction. And the way that they did it was really good, because it wasn't something that it was like too overdone, but at the same time, they brought them in at like a proper time. They showed, oh yeah, we have Energem, so don't mess with us. We're like you guys. Don't worry, Shelby. Don't worry, Riley. Don't worry, Tyler. We're like you guys. And they end up saying that, like, and like Chase says, like, oh, we're Power Rangers. You guys have now joined us, where we become Power Rangers. Apparently, Chase and Coda know who Fury is. Yes. So what you can tell from this is that most likely Keeper ended up telling them. Keeper had told them. I guess obviously they'd had the powers for a while now. You can assume it doesn't necessarily say like how long. It could have been a week, could have been a month, could have been a year. You never know. But there is that whole entire sense of they've been there for a few years and they have a connection to them. What ends up happening is Kendall ends up explaining and talking about each of them and how because you fought in this battle, you guys have gained these powers. And like she treats Tyler nicely, she treats Riley nicely. Coda and Chase, she's she's already set with him. She's fine. But then when she talks about Shelby, she treats her so terribly. It's like so nasty, but at the same time, it's not like so I don't know. It's not bad, but it's not at the same time great. I actually like that friction that they have, and to be honest with you, what I could see being a possibility is that if they choose to make her Violet, which I'm not sure if they're going to keep the name Violet for her character, but if they choose to, oh man, the episodes that they could do friction wise, oh god, that'd be awesome. No, I really mean that though. Like, they could do some really awesome stuff friction wise with Kendall and Shelby, because you can tell that they're gonna have friction. You can tell it's gonna be some fun stuff, and the way that they play off of each other is reasonable. They're not like, cat fight, scratching at each other, but at the same time, Kendall doesn't necessarily trust Shelby that much and really just kind of gives it to her in the worst of ways, and it's just like, oh man, Shelby, I feel for you right now, I feel it, yeah, okay, Shelby, I love you, I love you right here, really do. No, I mean it, like, really good stuff when it comes to playing off one another. There ends up being this monster that's out on the loose, so what ends up happening is that they end up going out to have to deal with it. Most of them are pretty secure. They're like, oh yeah, I want to do this. Riley's uncertain, so it's like, this is just crazy, but at the same time he's like, you know what, I kind of want to do this. So yeah, I mean, pretty much all of them are like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and fight the monster, and it's cool. What ends up happening then is that they each are able to like grab their energy from a distance. It's really cool. It's like, you may think it's like the Force, maybe. I have no idea if that's what they're going with it, but it's cool. What ends up happening is that Tyler's energem isn't working. The bond with it isn't working as well, and so what ends up happening is that the other four have to go. We don't get to see much of them doing anything. We just know that they go. We see them for like a second or so. What ends up happening then is we see this scene where Tyler's being told that, oh yeah, we're talking about the fact that it's the Tyrannosaurd, and apparently I believe it was like there was a clip where like Chase ends up talking. It's like, oh, there's a Tyrannosaurd, guys, and it explains to the three others. Well, obviously Coda probably already knows this, but you get my point. Regardless, it's interesting because at the same time it's sort of like, how much did the Keeper tell them? My God, it's like they know so much already, and it's very interesting how that is, because it's like he just blatantly knows. So then there's a scene where they explain it to him, where they explain it to Tyler about, oh yeah, that's your Dinozord. And then what ends up happening is that we end up Kendall ends up explaining what the Dino Chargers are, and how there's like this area that they have inside the base that's where like the 5 energems were stored or whatever, and they still need 5 more, by the way, where it's below where those 5 energems are, that has the that's where the Dino Chargers are kept. And the thing is that they use those to control and contain the power of the Dino Chargers, and I mean of the energems in these Dino Chargers. And the thing is that these like pods are used to charge the Dino Chargers, so it's like batteries. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. We end up then seeing this sequence where we end up seeing the villain from the previous episode, the ice monster. Forget his name in the Sentai, but regardless, we get to see him. We also get to see our foot soldier-like enemies / putty patroller-like enemies, the Vivix. Sorry, it's a weird name. Apparently, they're going the combined form when they all combine into one. In the show, they said that they're called the Vivizords, which I guess makes sense because it's a play off of Vivix, so Vivizords, Vivizords, which makes sense because they look like, so they're like about the same size as a Zord. So okay, so we get to see those monsters, which are always just a load of fun. You know, they're kind of, but what ends up happening is that there's a lot of stuff that's taken from the Sentai there with the morphing sequences. But I like, the one thing I really liked is that when they morphed, it looked original. It looked cool. There was a lot of great stuff about it. I liked when they morphed. I like the four of them when they morphed. I like when Tyler morphed alone. I like Unleash the Power. I like when they say it. It actually does sound nice. It doesn't sound as annoying as it does with like the merch, the toys do, but like it doesn't sound as annoying. It sounds good. I actually like it. It works pretty well. We end up seeing some fighting sequences going on, and then what happens is that eventually, after they each morph, they each get like a line or two in. And one thing that I really liked, which was cool, is that for Black, I was hoping they were going to do it for all of them, but for Black, they ended up saying, "You can call me the Hotshot Ranger." They actually called him that. I actually really like that. Like, I'm the best shooter ever. Like, he says something like that. And the thing is that that's pretty close to what the Sentai did, if not like exactly the same as what the Sentai did, which is really awesome. If they did that for every one of them, that would have been really cool. Instead, they gave them their own personalities. But like that one, I kind of understood why they would just do it for him at least. It would be cool if they did it for all of them, but they did not. You know, Coda, all about strength. Shelby, like, she seemed cool. Riley was awesome with his sword play. You got to see like them doing the combined gun and sword combination weapon, which is awesome. The Gabo cannon, which I forget what I mean, I guess the Charger cannon or something. You know what I'm talking about? I forget what it's called in America, but we get to see that combination. We get to see some sword play. Eventually, after each of them are introduced, and then like Tyler's like, "I'm gonna go take on this monster all by myself." No, seriously, that's what he says. And we end up seeing this awesome fight sequence that goes on there. Eventually, Tyler jumps inside of the mouth of the Tyrannosaur, because the Tyrannosaur this one time was fighting the Vivazord. And like he jumps inside the mouth, and then he charges in and like destroys the ice monster. My God, it was just awesome. So we get to see that whole sequence happen. The one thing that we find out also that I forgot to mention was the fact that apparently Coda and Chase only knew that Fury was the only monster that was around. They had no idea that there were other monsters. Because it was because Keeper only knew that Fury was still around. He had no idea if Sledge was around anymore. And what ends up happening is when they go back to the base, they end up talking. They're like, "How did you do that? How did you?" Like, they're all like cheering on each other, and then like there's a funny sequence where like Coda and Shelby are talking, where you get to see Coda's like, "Shelby, I hope you're alright with this. I mean, I know you're a ranger now." And then like Shelby's like, "Don't worry, Coda. I'm still gonna make you those Bronto burgers." Yes, Bronto burgers. Thumbs up. I actually like that. That's really awesome. The Bronto burger stuff is awesome. So yeah, there's that little cute sequence, and then what happens is that Chase ends up seeing Keeper and ends up asking him. I thought there was only Keeper. Chase ends up asking Keeper. I thought Fury was the only monster that was left, and then Keeper says, "No, there was someone named Sledge," and we get to see this sequence. And he ends up explaining that Sledge was like this bounty hunter, and he was hunting for the Energems, and we get to see all that. Very cool stuff. I'm just, believe me, it was just a great episode. Then we get to see a quick, like, maybe 10-15 second clip where we end up seeing Sledge talking to all the prisoners in cell block 5 about which one of you can destroy the Power Rangers, and you see them all like just going, all like banging on the bars of their cells. And they're just like, "Me." I mean, you don't hear like them saying that, but you just hear a lot of noise, and then Sledge is just laughing. It was a very good episode overall. I will tell you that much, though. I'll have to tell you this much. It's good. I'm really liking this season so far. I really am. It's only been 2 episodes. I'm pretty happy with those 2 episodes alone. Really am. Like, the stories that we have are great. Shelby has like Shelby feels like she's gonna have an interesting story. Tyler already seems like an interesting character. Riley seems interesting. I'm sure we'll get more detail. One thing I wanted to mention that I already talked about was the whole entire fact that like they're not being revealed in separate episodes. But what I could say is probably going to be true is that they probably will have, is that like in the next episode and the following episode they'll have will be like things where, okay, so we've gone into detail about this character, now we're going into detail about this character, and we'll have like backstories for each of the characters. For example, like Coda, they'll have a backstory even though everyone knows each other, not necessarily super well, but they know who, like, you know, Tyler knows who Coda is now. Riley knows who Tyler is now. You get my point. Like they're gonna have background information, and I feel like that's what's gonna happen because they've already done this with Tyler. They've already done this with Riley, and Shelby's had a little bit of information. And I mean, I could totally imagine them doing some awesome stuff like that. I'm just really excited overall, and just it's really good so far. I'm really happy with what they're doing. I'm really happy. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Otherwise, I'd like to say thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, and all that other awesome stuff. I hope to see you guys in my next video. And again, this has been Crazy Samurai 71 here.